Oh, well, this is going well so far. Oh yes, love this for me. Just living that YouTube dream, guys. I mean, could it be worse? Yes. Could it be better? Also yes. But I'm still filming downstairs and I got bored of looking at my living room wall. So have my downstairs bookcase, which is filled with all of the literary fiction that I never read. You're welcome. Hi guys, it's Leanne and welcome to another TBR in which I let other people torture me because apparently that's what y'all like. I mean, you say you're my friends and you're in my corner, but the evidence, it do suggest otherwise. Last time I did a TBR was January and I let lovely wife Helen decide what books I was going to read. And then in February, I got sick, we'll leave it at that. And so I decided in February I was giving myself a pass, I was just going to let myself read exactly what I wanted to read. But the problem with that, my lovely friends, is that if I don't do stack it, if I don't make my stack of books and read them in order from top to bottom without pausing or passing one by, I don't read enough because I'm scatterbrained, and so I like to do a little bit of everything, and then it gets to the end of the evening and I'm like, I haven't read anything today. Oh well, time to sleep now. And that's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me. I don't enjoy it. I do not like not reading books. I am happier when my head has other worlds to think about. So, seeing as lovely wife Helen picked the books of her dreams, I decided that I was going to go for a kinder audience this time around, and I have asked my besties to pick my TBR, featuring picks by the wonderful Kirsty, who of course co-hosts my podcast Death by the Books, which is a podcast all about crime thrillers and books where people die, and I don't plug it enough, the link's below. And then naturally we have the dazzling Stephanie, who has been a friend of mine offline for, don't want to do the math is disturbing, a really long time. And then of course we have the wonderful Simone from me, Simone and I. Simmy and I we're very similar. So the choices are probably going to be at least somewhere on my wavelength. And then of course we have the exquisite Ellis. And Ellis is not a booktuber in any way. She actually very rarely reads, who is the only one of my picks today. And so that will be interesting. Anybody who has a link, it's down there. So first off, I'm going to hand you over to Simone. Please be kind to me, girl. Be kind to me.
Hi guys, it's Simone here from me, Simone and I love the fact that I'm on Leanne's channel because she's amazing, and if you're not subscribed to her, there's a button down there. Go and subscribe because she's great. I'm sure you already know that already. But Leanne has asked me to pick 2 books for her to read, and I am honoured to be able to pick them because there are some good ones on your shelves, lady, and I cannot wait for you to read these 2. I'm very excited about it. So, the first one I've picked, drum roll please. Maybe don't do that. The first one I picked is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, and I've picked this one because it was one of my favourite books of last year, and I absolutely love this book. I think you've read some Karen Slaughter before, and this one is actually the only Karen Slaughter book I have read so far, and I do intend on doing more and reading more this year. However, this one was fantastic, and I think that it will be right up your street because I know that you're not too bothered about like gore in books and stuff, which is great because I would not read these if I was a thriller newbie, let's put it that way. This basically follows a woman whose sister went missing 20 years ago, and she's now trying to figure out what happened, or has been trying to figure out what's happened, and there's lots of twists and turns. You won't see what's coming. It's really, really great. It's really, really exciting. It's gory. It's really quite gross in places, but I think it'll be up your street, and I would really love to hear your thoughts on it. I just want to hear you talk about it, to be honest. I know it's like 500 pages plus, but trust me, it goes by so quickly, you won't even know. And yeah, I think that you'll love this one. So I've seen it on your shelf, I know you've got it, I'm very excited about you reading it. And then the second one, so I had to go for your namesake, Leanne Moriarty this time, because I know how much you love her. And again, I've read a couple of her books last year, and the one that I've just read which I loved, was Nine Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. This is a bit of a different one. It's set on like a retreat. It's obviously 9 strangers and they go to this like holistic health retreat, and things are not quite as they seem, and it's great. It's just a bit eerie. It's got that like locked in, closed in kind of mystery kind of thing, but it's just great, and the characters are amazing, and yeah, I just can't wait to hear what you think about it. I'm very excited for you to read that one too. So there you go, that is the 2 I've picked for you, and I hope that everybody else has picked some great ones too, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on them. Good luck, my love.
All right, that felt very like Sophia Niceguard there. I was definitely channeling a bit of Sophia. Not her colour scheme though, apparently. Simone's choices, I think, were actually pretty kind to me. You were pretty nice to me, girl. We have very similar tastes. In fact, I think our Venn diagram would be like mostly attached to each other. It would be like cells multiplying. We read and enjoy a lot of the same books and trust each other's book recommendations, so much so that if I say don't read it, it's trash, she will literally unhaul it. It's great. It's great to have so much symmetry. So I know that the 2 books that she has picked are probably books that I'm going to very much enjoy. However, Simone has actually managed to expose me somewhat, because Pretty Girls has been on and off my TBRs for the last, 2 years. In fact, I very much think that it was Kirsty who originally put it on my TBR and told me to read it, and I have kept not getting around to it. It would seem that March is my month for redemption. And next up, Simone picked our mutual obsession, and that is Leanne Moriarty. I have been a fan of Leanne Moriarty for many years. In fact, one of my original booktube videos was actually a review of What Alice Forgot by Leanne Moriarty, which is one of her least crimey books, and actually probably my favourite. It's so good. It's kind of an amnesia storyline, but with a massive twist, because it's not, filled with murder and rape and the other things that amnesia storylines usually questionably brings with them. Anyway, I loved it then. Don't look for that video because it's private, because it was awful. I got so many views on it that I eventually was just so cringe when I kept getting comments on like one of my first videos. I'm so awkward that it's just not there anymore. It's not there anymore. On the other hand, my lovely co-host Kirsty has just been very self-serving in her choices. I mean, there's really no other way to put that. Very self-serving. Kirsty has a little bit of an obsession about getting me to read books off of my Kindle because she thinks that books go there to die, which is not entirely inaccurate. However, in the last couple of years, I've read more Kindle books and audiobooks than I have physical books, I think, if you look at them alongside each other, which is a bit of a horrifying thing for me, but never mind. She would like me to read all of the Kindle books that I have, and so she would like me to start with Every Breath by Ellie Marney. Ellie Marney is another Australian author, like Leanne Moriarty. See, I knew I liked Australian authors before I knew I liked Australian authors, you know what I mean? And Ellie Marney is a bit of an obsession of dear old Kirsty's. It's kind of one that I don't think I would have picked up without Kirsty's influence in the first place, because it's a Sherlock Holmes retelling. I am very picky about my retellings, incredibly picky about my retellings. In fact, the only retelling that I can remember in recent years that I have really loved is Jane Steele, which is a perfect book, and nobody will ever be able to tell me any different. So this one is about Rachel, who moves to Melbourne from the sticks, I believe, and is really not happy to be in the city, has no interest in making new friends and going to new schools, just hates everything about her circumstances, and then she discovers that her next door neighbour is a boy called James Mycroft, who is cantankerous and annoying and a little bit too smart for his own good. And then the two of them get kind of thrown together on a field trip to a zoo wherein a murder happens, and so it also kind of reminds me of Fierce Kingdom, which is a book that I really enjoyed when I was reading it, but it took me like 25 minutes to rack my brains to remember the title of, so clearly I wasn't that enthused. And next up, Kirsty has picked for me Looking for Alibrandi by Melina Marchetta. I'm so sick of debating over how this is pronounced in every single video, but you know, you keep telling me and I keep forgetting, and for some reason it's just not sinking in, so here we are again. This one is actually her first novel, and it is a YA coming of age, which I think was published in the early 90s. This one, simply put, is about Josephine Alibrandi, who does not consider herself to have the most fortunate heritage for the town in which she lives. She is also going to a Catholic school which is incredibly strict, and she basically hasn't been able to find herself at any point in her teenage years. And so what happens with a lot of Melina Marchetta, these books, is that a set of circumstances that nobody expected happens to Josephine Alibrandi, and she discovers that she has to find herself quite quickly because she really only has a year to do it in. So thanks, Kirsty, for being completely self-serving with your choices. I appreciate it. And next up we have Stephanie, Weffers, my Weffany, the Harry Potter loving love of my life. Steph and I have been friends, like I said, for very, very, very many years, and she loves nothing more than going into my study and raking through my bookshelves. And so that's kind of what I let her do. I have regrets. I have so many regrets. Here it is.
Now, okay. Oh, I don't know.
Pressure!
No. I'm trying to see if the spines are cracked, but who am I kidding? No. Of course they're not. Get out.
Shh. I'm very interested.
I sniffed it.
I was going to say I'm interested in your selection techniques, but apparently it's just, it smells nice.
This is something I would like. Okay, one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But I love which bookcases you're gravitating towards. So that's like super amusing. Me, you were like fantasy. No, the crime shit.
Yeah. I know. Oh wait, because the fantasy ones were just so pretty. Like they automatically draw the eye. I think these are really nice.
They're gorgeous,
aren't they? And I like the one of which ones.
Okay, so that's one. So
a bit.
Genres.
Yes.
We've got like fantasy to like urban fantasy in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we've got like crime and crime series, and then on like like this side we've got like non-fiction and horror and shit, middle grade.
Yes.
And other stuff.
I don't like non-fiction. Non-fiction's boring.
Controversy. Think I'll edit that out before somebody's like,
Non-fiction is boring.
Scandal.
Prove me wrong.
Oh, that's a challenge. I have viewers who will give you lists now.
Okay. I won't believe it.
But you'd have to read it to believe it, and you won't read it.
No, I won't be.
So it's not going to be. There's no.
I can't be proved wrong because I'm too stubborn.
Yeah. This could be like leading the witness. I should not tell you where things.
Attempt to pervert the course of justice. See, somebody's already picked a Leanne Moriarty one, but that's annoying. Oh, interesting. Have you read this?
I have not. Oh, have selections been made, or
Selections
is this like
have been made.
Oh. I like how you've managed to pick books that are like roughly the thickness of your head.
Yeah. You're lucky I didn't pick War and Peace. You don't have it, that's why. Do you have it? No, I don't think it.
And if I did, I would not tell you. I have Anna Karenina, but that's downstairs, and I haven't given you the option of downstairs. Maha!
Downstairs strictly for Helen only.
X-rated.
I know. PG-18 kids.
Right, what have you picked?
Okay, we have Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes.
Yeah, well done.
And The Good Girl by Fiona Neal.
So there we go!
Yay. Success.
How long are they then?
Okay, so this looks about 500, 400, 520.
So well trained.
Yes. And I'm going to say 450. Ooh, 465.
Oh, okay. So,
got your work cut out for you.
you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Okie dokie. So Steph ended up ironically picking two of the books on my thriller shelf that had gone there to just kind of gather dust. Specifically two books that I actually couldn't remember very much about, and so we stood there and kind of like read the backs and tried to jog my memory, and I tried to think why I had purchased them in the first place and when that might have happened, and who freaking knows. So the first one that Steph picked was The Good Daughter by Fiona Neill. I actually weirdly seem to own a second book by Fiona Neill, a much more recent one, this one, on my Kindle. And I kind of have a vague memory of trying to pick it up when Helen was in hospital, but again, any book that I tried to read when Helen was in hospital in like last October-y time has just kind of just vaguely blurred in my mind, and they've all kind of weirdly bled together in a way that's never happened to me before, so I don't remember anything about it, and therefore I cannot tell you if I like Fiona Neill's writing or not. So the Field family have up sticks and completely moved. They have gone miles and miles and miles away from where they lived originally. They don't speak to anybody from their previous town. They have cut all ties, and 9-year-old Ben is starting to suspect that the reasons that his parents gave him for that move were, how shall I delicately put this, a crock of something nasty. Ben has discovered that his mother is definitely lying about something. His dad is getting some very curious text messages from a source that he cannot identify, and his big sister's grades have plummeted overnight, and he is going to find out why that has happened. And then next we have Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes. I did remember when Steph picked this one up that this one was incredibly popular on BookTube back in the day. Say back in the day, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. When it came out, it absolutely just plastered itself everywhere, and I think the reason that I ended up leaving this on my shelves to gather dust was actually because the hype train had hit it with some serious force, and I was like, yeah, nah. The other thing is that this one is part thriller, part crime, because it is about a traditional detective whose name I have forgotten, Gabby Versado, and she has been assigned to a case wherein the killer is making the bodies into hybrid broken monsters. I think he's using animal parts. It sounds all very grim. And she is tasked with finding out exactly who he is before he strikes again, or I guess, you know, it's her job and livelihood on the line. All the reasons that I no longer read crime books. And the twist with this one is that the serial killer appears to be one half of the narration in this, and he has decided that Gabby is very interesting to him and he would like to get to know her. Also, the first chapter is called Bambi, and I now kind of want to flip through to discover whether like each of the chapters, okay, they're not. I was like, I'm really worried that each of the chapters is going to be called after a famous animal or something. Can't be doing with dead animals. Dead people's fine. Can't be doing with the dead animals. Nope. No thank you. And last but not least, we have the lovely Ellis. Now Ellis's choices are going to be interesting because Ellis doesn't actually read a lot herself. She enjoys a lot of illustration books. That is her career. She is a fellow small business illustrator, and she spends a lot of time reading that kind of thing. So she spends a lot less time reading fiction and almost no time, I think, reading anything that is non-fiction. So here's what we got.
Hi Leanne's YouTube channel, my name is Ellis and Leanne has asked me to pick a couple of books for her TBR. So I'm all the way down in England. Leanne has actually sent me pictures of her bookcase so that I can just go ahead and pick 2 books for her TBR list for this month. So let's go ahead. So the first one that I'm going to go for is Aunt Middleton's The Fear, because when I was in Scotland last November with Leanne, she wouldn't shut up about Aunt Middleton. So Leanne, that is your first one, Aunt Middleton's The Fear. And the next one is White Cat by Holly Black. So that one looks like it's part of a series. So Leanne, if you have already read that one, please go ahead and pick the next book in the series. And that is me done. Okay, love you, Leanne, bye.
When your besties know you enough to roast you on your own channel. Yes dear, I have been talking quite a lot about Ant Middleton, and in fact a lot about the show that I discovered him in, SAS Who Dares Wins, and the other guys who have written books about their times in the armed forces and very, very elite select squads doing missions that we're never going to hear about because, you know, classified. And this one is about him afterwards. He's been thrust into the spotlight. He is not a very likely candidate for, like, you know, interviews like This Morning and things that he has been on. He is not the type of person who ever expected to have like fame and money and be eating in fine dining restaurants and things like that on the regular. It's how he's taken his life philosophies and applied it to that, because that actually has more anxiety for him than the kicking down doors bit. And the second one that Ellis picked was a really interesting choice for me, and I think she entirely gravitated to it because of the pretty cover, and that is White Cat by Holly Black. This is the first in the, I can't remember what this series is called, the Curse Workers books, and I read this years ago. This is the first in a YA urban fantasy trilogy about a guy called Cassell who is haunted by the memory of a 14-year-old girl that he killed. Cassell lives in a world full of magic workers, but when everything else was in prohibition in the 1920s, magic also went underground, and so essentially his family are kind of connected to this world's mob. And everybody in the family is a curse worker, literally everybody except for him. But the thing that I remember this book then doing is taking all of the assumptions that you have from page 1 and peeling them back to reveal all of the soft, squishy underside. This is one of those books that has like red herring after red herring after red herring. There's twists all the way through it, and I remember the twist in this first book. It's impossible not to. And when it happened, I remember having the physical reaction of, oh my god, what did she just do? And I don't know why I never carried on with the rest of the series. So as per my rules, technically I could start with book 2 if I wanted to, but I just don't remember enough about the actual salient details of book 1 in order to do that. So I'm going to read White Cat again, and I'm hopefully going to just carry on and finish the trilogy this time. So those are all of the books that these wonderful people have tortured me with on this TBR. As always, if you guys have read any of the books that I've talked about today, and whether you loved or hated them, please let me know in the comments down below. I hope that you enjoyed everybody picking my TBR for me. I know that you guys are particularly keen on it, and so I have asked my mum if maybe in April she would pick a couple of books for me to read. And then I might ask you guys. We shall see. Oh, and of course remember and tell me if I've made any of you curious enough to pick up any of these books, because I live for those moments. I'll speak to all y'all very soon. Bye! Also, can I just say, it's my birthday on the 4th of March, and on that day I reserve the right to read whatever freaking book that I want, because it's like my birthday privilege. Okay? Okay.